Are we going to
Bro.
start with ISO or?
Let's just introduce ourselves. We'll go from you first.
You guys can start.
I'm Jordan, like,
Isaac.
And I'm Javier.
Yeah. And together we're Via Valenti.
we call ourselves Valenti. Javier, you've just started a
ISO.
new business.
Javier ISO.
Javier ISO, yeah.
Formerly Spanish Javier.
So ISO. what is
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I changed that. Sadly, I had to change that. Everyone was making fun of it.
Yeah, what is ISO?
Because in Australia, it sounds okay, Spanish Javier, but in my own country, it's like if you call yourself Australian Jai or Australian
like me
Jordan,
saying
it sounds really
Australian
bad.
Jordan.
So I had to change it. Yeah.
So ISO, isometric strength worlds.
Everyone wants to know, what is it?
It's just it's not a tournament. It's more like a competition that has tests to find out who is the best puncher and who is the best frontierer in the world. It's a very different style of competition that it has never been done something like this. So it's quite interesting in my opinion.
And what do you think are the advantages of doing the competition that way versus what the traditional competition looks like?
It's more like having innovation, having new things, because I do think calisthenics at the moment is quite boring in terms of competitions. There's nothing new. It's always the same. So bringing out something new, it's exciting for the community. So I wouldn't say it's better or worse than other concepts, but it's definitely exciting.
For people that don't know, when Javier was in Australia, he ran multiple comps, reps and sets, and I think 2 freestyle, just from my knowledge. So he's had lots of experience with it. Like, what's the main challenges when running a comp?
I think it depends. Depends what type of competition. But in the competition that I'm doing now, all the athletes are very busy because they're all either influencers or training hard. They're very busy, so it's really hard to get all of them to like answer fast because they take like a week to answer or 2 weeks to answer, and organizing an event with people taking so long to answer is extremely difficult in my opinion. That's my main problem at the moment.
So communication is always important, but for this comp specifically, it's been the main challenge.
Yeah, but there's always a lot of problems when you organize, especially if you organize something by yourself. In Australia, I mainly organize majority of things by myself, and I do find that a big challenge. But if I look at other organizations, they always have a team of 5 or 6 people, and that simplifies things a lot. So if you want to organize a competition, it's for sure you need a team, in my opinion.
So you're working with Valentin. How did that come about? How'd you meet?
We just talked on Instagram really. He was sharing some things that I agreed on, and I just told him that I liked what he was sharing, and we just started chatting, and then he just came over to my house and we started organizing projects and stuff just straight off the bat.
So whose idea was it first? Who came up with the proposal?
It's a bit of both. I wanted to do this competition since I came to Spain. I wanted to do something big, with big guys prizes and like very professional with the best athletes in the world. Like I had all that idea and I was organizing it, but the idea of the concept of the competition is mainly Valentin's for sure.
Because he noticed there was a bit of a flaw, right? The previous competitions.
Yeah. But Valentin is not he's not an organizer for many reasons. But specifically because he's a competitor. And competitors cannot organize events. But he is definitely there to. He likes to call himself an advisor. He's there to give his opinion and to help me a lot with contacting all the athletes and everything, because I would have not been able to have such a strong athlete list without someone who knows everyone. So he does play a crucial role in the event, but he's not an organizer.
Bro, it's crazy that you know so many athletes now, because back when you were in Australia, we would always watch them at home just on the phone and talk about like how crazy all these guys are, just like
That's what we do now.
Yeah, well, that's what we do now because we all live together. When I was with Javier, we'd just go on the phone and be like, oh, Gus is so amazing. Look at Valentin. Now you're meeting up with these guys and running a comp. It's just such an awesome journey.
Yeah, it is true. I can't believe it myself. It's amazing for sure. All these people they're all great. They're very humble, and they are very, very different to what they show themselves on social media. It was a huge shock for me seeing their personalities. They have like a character they put on social media, and their real personality is very different. Especially Gusta. Gusta is a sweet boy. He's super nice. He's like one of the best person, but on social media, he's like, a bit of a pit bull, if I could say that.
So bringing it back to ISO, are you planning to? Is there going to be money made from this comp, or how's it going to be financed? What's your thoughts behind it? Are you just kind of wanting to get your name up a bit and create something for calisthenics, or is there a purpose to make some money out of it, or what's the idea there?
Well, I am opening a gym here in Spain. I did want to do this in Australia for a long time, but I never had the resources to do so. So an event like this is a way to market the gym. So it is. I'm definitely not gonna make money of the event. I'm gonna empty my pocket on this event probably, but I won't make any profit of the event. I find it extremely hard to make profit on this event. There is other organizations that have like 20% investment compared to what we have in this competition, and they don't make profit. So it's very unlikely that we will, but that's not the goal anyway.
Yeah, the most fulfilling thing is just seeing everyone there. Especially as a comp organizer, I've done a small comp and then a freestyle comp at a Fit Expo. Like, it's so tiring and you get nothing out of it. Like, nothing goes into your pockets, but just the fact that you have everyone under one like competition, competing for something, cheering for each other, it's the most fulfilling thing in the world. And I do understand like getting a name out there is good, and also you got to take care of yourself, which is why you're promoting the gym. But besides just ISO, I know you mentioned something on your story about having no sponsors. What's the go with that? Are you just going to keep it clean?
Most competitions I've noticed, especially with all respect to them, the Ultimate Battles this year, they are forced to get sponsors as they don't have the money to run these events. So I noticed this year people that don't know much about calisthenics, they were watching the Ultimate Battles and they thought that Coordination was the organizer of the Ultimate Battles because they had the logo everywhere. The logo was in more places than the main organizers, and that's something that I don't like, and I don't want it to happen in my competition. I want it to be specifically ISO's competition, not other sponsors, and also it is true that I don't lack resources at the moment, so I don't need the sponsors. So why would I take them?
Yeah, then it would just sort of take away the view from what you're creating, right? And sort of distract everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And I've noticed in other competitions, sponsors have influenced the organizers and have changed things certain ways. I can't say it, but there is things that have changed because of sponsors.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I don't want sponsors. I don't want his sponsor to influence the competition in the wrong way.
So how's the judging system going to be working? What do you have planned for that?
Well, that's really hard, and that's a hard part. It's still in process. It has not been yet completed. The competition is in July, so there is a lot of time anyway. But we gathered all the athletes together with the judges, and they are creating the system. together, because who knows better to create a front lever system than the 7 best front lever athletes. So yeah, that's how it's been creating, just between the judges and them. There's like democratic votes about every decision, and that's how the outcome is happening, but it's not yet finalized.
And I also heard that the event itself is going to be going over a week. That's what you have planned, which sounds pretty intriguing.
That's long.
It's a long. So 3 days of front lever, then a break, and then 3 days of planche or push. That's
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. There is going to be not only tests. There's going to be a few more things on the event that I cannot mention just yet. But it is going to be very exciting. It's not just going to be reps and sets in statics. There's going to be combos and things like that as well. There might be some exhibition battles as well. But yeah, it is a very long event. But if these athletes don't have the endurance to last 3 days, then they shouldn't be considered top 7 in the world. So people say that it's too much for the athletes, but it's not actually that much, because it's 4 hours of competition a day for 3 days straight. So yeah, I think it will work really well, but I understand it would be really hard to have a public for 7 days a week. That's one of the main reasons why we decided not to.
So is there going to be a category where athletes are doing push and pull together, or is it purely just going to be all pull for 3 days straight? Like, what's the idea there? Is it going to be? Tell me a bit more about
It's
that.
gonna be so the 7 athletes that we announced in front lever category are only allowed to do front lever. If they have battles, they are only allowed to do front lever in the battles, nothing else, just pure front lever. And in the planche is the same story. There is more than one athlete, 2 or 3 that is in both categories. So that's why there is that 1 day break between front lever and planche days, just for those specific athletes that need that break between that day. It was their decision to choose front lever before planche, because they say that you get more exhausted from planche than from front lever, so they wanted to leave planche for last. But yeah, if there is battles also, let's say we have 2 front lever athletes having a battle, it would be specifically a front lever battle, it's quite interesting.
And would it be all combos, or are you doing max holds? Like, what's the setup there?
There is a lot of tests that they will be doing. I cannot share them now.
Yeah.
We will share them on the social media. But there is things like that for sure.
So there'll be lots of different sort of aspects of front lever, not just like a 2-minute round or something. There'll be a whole bunch of different things at least.
Yeah. Isaac, were you in my reps and sets competition that I did with Hector and a few other people back in April?
No, man, I missed it, but I made my reps and set model off yours, which was really good.
Okay, that's cool. So what we did with that competition, I actually a few of the ideas of this competition came from that competition. We had a big medal. You probably remember a big medal for the overall winner, but then we had medals for categories such as the most the best pull-ups, or the best dips, or the best push-ups, the one with most muscle-ups. So that we had medals for certain categories, because I know that there was people there that was very good at dips, but then couldn't even do muscle-ups. So that was giving those athletes opportunities to gain a medal, even if they can't do muscle-ups, So in this competition, we've done the same thing. There is categories, and there is trophies and medals for each category as well. So let's say someone can get a trophy of like the best Victorian in the world 2024, isometric strength worlds, things like this. So not only there is a big trophy for the winner of all front lever and the winner of all planche, but there is for each individual category, which is similar to what we did.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you like big medals.
The trophies are going to be quite crazy. They're still in design, but it's not confirmed yet. But we're most likely going to have a massive belt as a first prize for front lever and for planche.
So at the moment, Burninggate's been the main comp for statics, right? And now is your goal to make ISO the number one comp around the world for statics? Is that the goal?
Um,
Or are you trying to
yeah,
just
I
add
mean,
to the picture?
I don't find ISO to be competitive against other competitions, just because there are other competitions that are crucial for the sport, like let's say some. I'm not gonna say a name of any organizations, but let's say like some tournament static competition is crucial for this sport, and then there's freestyle tournament competitions which are also crucial for the sport. So this event is different. So I wouldn't want to delete the other competitions, to have only ours, just because it's different. It's not a competition against them. So. But at the moment, in my opinion, the biggest competitions in the world inside statics are beer battles, and it used to be Burningate. I don't know how that's gonna be next year. I don't have much hopes for it. Like a competition cannot be done without the athletes, and all the athletes have decided not to come back next year. So I don't have much hopes for them to run it next year. But I do think they still have, like, everyone can have a way out. They can apologize, give a new point system, admit their mistakes, bring judges from outside. They can definitely turn around the table.
Are we able to talk about what happened, like what went wrong with Burningate?
Yeah, I can tell what happened without giving any personal opinions, just my observations. Like the problem that happened this year has been going on for 3 years or 4 or even more for a while. It was this year the last drop that made Elias explode, but it's been ongoing a problem for a few years. I'm not sure how many editions Burningate has done. If I'm not wrong, the first one was in 2013. So I'm pretty sure that this was the 10th year, which is pretty crazy. I think no one has done it. No organization apart from the WSWCF has done as many editions on a competition ever. But like I was saying, in the last 3 years, they've been some judging a point system disagreements between the athletes and the judges, and this year was just too much for everyone. I could run you through every single detail that happened, but I don't know if that might be a long conversation. But if you guys are open for it, then why not?
What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But first of all, the person on that poster, because I haven't touched on it.
It's symbolic.
Yeah, who is it, Blake?
Oh yeah, so I designed the poster myself, and we spoke about this in another podcast. But it says above "suspend disbelief," which is just a saying that really sticks with me, and that I associate with planche because you're literally suspending yourself above the ground. But yeah, I put the poster of Elias up there because obviously planche is something that we're all striving to be the best at, and it just so happens that I got the poster done with Elias on it, and then a week later he's pretty much the center of attention in the calisthenics world. So yeah, that's the development, I guess.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
So what did Elias do in IBC?
Elias
You saw it firsthand.
got sorry?
You saw it firsthand.
Yeah, I did. Actually, it was me, Elias, because he doesn't speak too much English. He came up to me to explain me what he wanted to do with cross his hands and leaf, and he told me to communicate with all the athletes. So I went around just telling everyone, and then we all joined in to yell at Elias as soon as he did it. But Elias, Elias by far was had a lot better performance than his competitor Caruso. Not to have anything against Caruso. Caruso is very, very strong athlete, and Caruso did not do anything wrong. That's something I want to be clear about. He was just competing. He's not judging himself. He's just competing. So there is nothing he did wrong. But it was quite clear that that Elias did a lot better. Like I would say triple the points that Caruso did, and it was quite interesting that the all-time record of the points in Burningate battles was 88 points, and Caruso bet that record with 106 points in one of his worst rounds in history. So it was quite weird seeing such a good result on such a when his performance wasn't as good as his other rounds, but he got like 4 times the points. It was just very, very weird, you know. We did the math, everyone did the math, and he didn't even get close to getting those points. It was really weird. We all went to ask the judges, and they were not transparent. They didn't want to show us anything. So, and in previous battles, they made a lot of mistakes in that competition. It happened the same thing. Elfo got also knocked out unfairly. Then Rossi as well. A lot of athletes got knocked out unfairly. So it was just like recurring over and over again through the tournament that people were losing unfairly to Italians specifically. So Elias just was like, I had enough. They don't even want to show me why I lost, like how they don't even want to explain me how Caruso got that many points. So I'm just I'm not having it. I'm not going to keep competing for them. So he decided to leave the mid battle in his for his fourth medal placement.
I think that's a pretty cohesive summary there of everything that happened. I was going to ask you, but you sort of touched on it already. So you said this has been an ongoing thing in terms of like the last sort of few years. There's been inconsistencies with the scoring and the point system, no one's ever confronted them or sort of asked in previous years what's going on with the scoring. Has it just sort of built up over the last sort of few years and now it's hit the climax where it's pushed everyone sort of over the edge? Is that what's happened?
I do think a lot of people have complained over the last years directly to the judges, but no, like people have gone up to the judges to complain, but no one has done it publicly like Elias has and posted it on social media. That was the first time someone did that. So I think that was the difference between this year and other year, is that someone had the balls to publicly say on social media what happened.
And he's had heaps of support with that as well, right? Like the whole entire calisthenics community has sort of come together around that.
He got like 200k views, I think, in like 24 hours or something like that. It's quite crazy, even for Elias, which has always viral content. That's a lot of views. It was very nice to see everyone supporting Elias and so. One other problem that happened this year, though, it was not them judging wrongly. It was that they changed the rules so much this year, and the rules got to a point where competitors that were winning were people who knew how to play with the rules, not people who were generally stronger. For example, Gustavo did not even qualify just because he forgot to do a back lever pull-up in his set, and it was a requirement to qualify to do a back lever pull-up, which is extremely easy. Extremely easy. I'm not gonna say it's extremely easy, but I don't have much static strength and I can do this. So obviously in a high level elite competition, having that as a requirement is a little bit of a joke, and not qualifying for a competition like this because you forgot to do a back lever pull-up is a little bit of a joke. There was a lot of there was like 5 categories that you had to tick off during your 45-second rounds, and if you didn't do one of those 5 categories, 2 of those 5 categories, then you wouldn't qualify. And one of those 5 categories is dynamics, which no one was doing. So basically, because there is no, it's not a dynamics competition. They don't invite you to this competition because you have dynamics, of course. So really, they had to do 4 out of 4 categories, and that's
so you
really
have the
hard.
option to do dynamics, but none of the athletes actually train dynamics. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just because the goal of this competition is to get as much points as fast as possible, and if you do like I don't know the point system, but let's say an example: if you do two full bench push-ups, you get 7 points. But if you do one ganger, you get 3. By the time you swing and you ganger, you lost 5 seconds. But in 2 seconds, you can already do two full bench push-ups. So you're obviously going to lose if you try dynamics, because it's very time-consuming compared to statics. So that's why no one decides to do dynamics there, because there's no point because of the judging system. But they do give it as an option for sure.
And so what did Elias do? Did he come third place and he gave away his position, or did he just, when he tapped out, was it a battle for third place?
It was a third, fourth place battle, and he talked to his competitor, as a respect thing, to tell him, hey, is it okay with you if I do this? The guy he was going to battle, Bruno from Chile, and Bruno said that he was happy with it, so Elias did this, and that way, because he was the one that left the competition, Bruno automatically got the third place, and technically Elias got given a fourth place as well.
Do you reckon there are two sides to the stories though? Because as the organizers, what was their thought process during the whole competition?
I cannot really give an opinion on that. I'm not quite sure, but one of the biggest problems of the competition was not really the mistakes they made, because we can all make mistakes organizing competitions. I mean, you're an organizer, like everyone makes mistakes. There's always someone that's not going to be happy with certain results, but their problem was their attitude towards making mistakes, not admitting mistakes, not being transparent, and even laughing at the athletes was completely wrong. So I think that's exactly what happened there, not really the points and them judging wrong and them giving wins to people who shouldn't have won. The main problem was their attitude towards that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. When you do make a competition, not everyone's a machine, so you always make mistakes, and you can't even expect it to happen. There's so many little things that just happen within the competition that have no control over. All you can have control over is your attitude. But that's why I'm excited for you to do this competition, because you've done so many mistakes, which is good because you can learn from it. And I've seen it firsthand, and so it's much more exciting seeing someone come onto the stage and make a competition that doesn't have any prior experience and doesn't kind of have a story to tell and things to learn from. But seeing you make this one and gather all the experience that you've done in Australia, really awesome. So.
So
I am quite confident in this competition for that specific reason, because you've lived literally with me, so you understand how short on money I was at one point. Even being late on rent, I was very, very short on money, and even though I barely could afford my living expenses, I still managed a way to organize a competition in Australia. Even if I got in debt with a couple of people here and there, I still managed to organize the competition. So this time I do have the resources. So I am doing something bigger, but I did manage to do one of the biggest competitions in Australia with no resources. So doing this with resources feels a lot easier, if that makes sense.
Disclaimer, don't get into debt and not pay people back for the competitions, but it's an amazing story, because I literally lived with you and it was the biggest success story I've ever seen. Rags to riches. You were living in your house, and now you've moved to Spain, and meeting up with your dream athletes is really inspiring for me as well, which is why we live together now, to be in the best mindset and environment to grow and to find our own success as well.
Yeah, that's really nice. I personally noticed that the environment does affect a lot, a lot. I always, everyone, all the millionaires say it, but when you actually experience, the environment does affect so much. It's actually one of the reasons why you saw me on social media. I decided to unfollow everyone. I'm always been known, especially in Australia as well, someone who usually, maybe I have some enemies here and there, but I was always, trying to get along with all different type of groups of people. I was always trying to stay neutral between people who will never pick sides or anything. And but I kind of changed my way of being because being friends with everyone means like having sometimes negative environments, because if you are friends with people who have a very poor mindset or who are just naturally very negative people, or it does affect you a lot to hang around with those people. So I kind of stopped focusing so much on being friends with everyone and focused more on being friends only with people who have a very good mindset. So that's probably why I went from having like 1,500 following to having 80 following. I decided to just unfollow everyone who I personally don't feel like they give me any value in terms of mindset or anything,
Yeah. So basically, I don't know you until like we've just met now, but obviously you've met Jordan and you've known Isaac for quite some time. So I just wanted to ask you, when you initially got your first taste in calisthenics, or when you discovered it, and sort of what got you passionate about the sport.
Um, yeah, might be a bit different to other people's stories. What happened to me is I wanted to be a professional athlete so bad, or just a competitive athlete in general. I wasn't really thinking of a sport specifically. I just wanted to be competitive in one sport. I was in soccer for a long time, but I couldn't get into a team because my parents did not approve it. Because my mom had a cousin when she was younger who died from a heart problem due to overtraining, so she never let me be competitive in any sport. So I couldn't do soccer, and then I got into other sports, but calisthenics was the only sport that I found where I did not require to have a team. I did not depend on anyone. I could do it by myself. And even if my parents want to, or my parents don't want to, I can just do it. I don't need equipment. I don't need a team. I don't need anything. I just depends on myself. Yes, we can be picky about you need P-bars and stuff, but really you can just play around with the floor, or you can find some bars in the middle of nowhere. You don't really need anything.
It's pretty cheap.
That was the yeah.
It's a cheap hobby.
Yeah,
which
that
is
was
good.
that was the main reason. Just because I wasn't allowed to do any competitive sport because of my parents, and that was the only sport where I could do competitively without approval of my parents. I did find it when I went on holidays in a beach in Spain. I think it was like 2 months before I came to Australia. I was there and I saw some people sending some skills. Some dynamic skills, and I saw it and I was like, fuck, that's so sick.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, that 1 week there, I focused the whole week on catching shrimp flip. And I caught shrimp flip actually my first week of calisthenics. And I think from there I just kept training really. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I also wanted to ask, I know you're mainly a dynamics guy. Like that was always your thing. I didn't see you train too much statics when you were in Australia. How's your training been? Are you still training mainly dynamics? Do you train statics as well? What's the go?
I'm actually almost only training statics. That's probably the reason why you don't see me post at all on my stories anymore. I don't post content anymore. It's because I don't really have content to post. Because the only high quality content I have to post is dynamics, which I don't do much anymore. And I don't want to share a straddle place, a 3-second touch. I don't. That's not things I want to post, especially with the people I hang around with. The standards are a lot higher. So if I have a 5-second clean full punch, I will post it. But if I have 2 straddle presses, I won't. So that's the main reason why I'm not posting at all. Even though I am training statics. Yeah.
So the main goal is to just get better at statics for now. Is that why you've taken the back seat with dynamic?
Yeah. That's pretty much it. There is a competition which I can't really talk much about it. It's also next year, not organized by me. And they decided to choose the 10 best dynamic guys from Spain. And for some weird reason, they chose me, which I completely disagree. So I do have to get back into training hard dynamics as soon as possible. I do have a couple bars coming in. You guys probably seen Isaac, my close friends. I put that stuff there. I do have a bar for my backyard coming soon. So as soon as I get it, I will start focusing a lot on dynamics, and I will be posting a lot.
For
Although
our
I have improved in dynamics. I have improved since the last time I posted. I just haven't posted much.
For our viewers, people that know us and me, Javier was the one that taught me dynamics first. I learnt in his backyard most of the time. He built a bar and learnt how to do shin flip, perfect my 360, learn alley-oop, which eventually got me injured. I have a broken ankle. So I joined the statics game now. I want to get back into dynamics, miss it. But yeah, Javier was my coach for dynamics. We used to train at Sea Olympic Park all the time, which is a gymnastics center in Australia, which is where I met Jordan. Jordan met Javier as well. That place is closed down now.
So do you have planche now?
No.
Not yet.
I have a comfortable straddle, I would say, but nothing else.
One of the best
Isaac
planches.
just unlocked planche.
I have
Yeah.
a lot better supinated straddle than normal straddle. Just because I was training with Valentin, and he corrected my way. He changed my way of doing planche completely in terms of how to engage the wrists, and I got injured on the way just because I wasn't ready for it. I've been doing my grip wrong for so many years, and then when I changed it, I was using muscles that I never used before. So I got injured on my wrist, so I couldn't do planche. I think for the last 2 months I couldn't do planche till like 2 weeks ago. So normal planche. So I've been focusing on supinated planche as it doesn't take that much wrist mobility. So at the moment I have a very decent supinated straddle planche, but I don't have much of a normal straddle planche. It's kind of odd. It's because of a wrist problem.
We got to end the podcast soon, but I think everyone's interested in what the secret is. I'm gonna have a private chat with you, find out.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, it's quite interesting. I have a lot of boys from some boys from Australia always texting me, asking me tips about, to give them tips from people that I have close by. I think for example yesterday Jake asked me if give me a short Q&A about Valentin and what Valentin thinks about planche and this and that and things like this. Is quite nice.
Maybe you can provide some tips about Florvik. He loves it.
Yeah, I'm on the Florvik path.
The Vic specialist.
Yeah, not yet. I'm not a specialist yet, but I'm on that path. I don't know. I just discovered that I was randomly strong in it early when I first got into sort of,
That's
I guess,
nice, nice.
intermediate calisthenics. Yeah, so.
When I think about that move, I think of Mariano Yu.
Mariano. I am strong.
Yeah,
Mariano is strong though.
I have to pick Mariano's brain when we go back to Sydney because he's here in Australia now. So I haven't really spoken to him too much. I met him once, but only briefly. So I have to pick his brain about Florvik.
Yeah.
Bro, are you
He's
coming
great.
back to Australia this year?
Sorry?
Are you coming back to Australia this year?
I'm not leaving back in Australia. I'm not going to live back in Australia,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
might do some holidays for sure. I was going to go in December to visit my parents. So I was going to do see all of you guys on the way, but my parents decided to come here instead. So I might come a little bit later, Feb, March. I think that's why I want to organize a competition over there, which is what I discussed with you. I think one of the last times we talked. It's a good excuse to force myself to come to Australia for some holidays. And instead of having to go Perth, Melbourne, New Zealand, I can just do a big comp in Sydney, let's say, and I'll have all the athletes from New Zealand and all over from Australia come, so I can have all of them in one place. It would be a very good holidays for me.
Yeah.
Maybe then we'll be able to get you on a seat here in the podcast room as well and have a bit more of a chat.
That's true. That's true. If you guys come here, I also have a podcast room. I think I have a couple of days Gustavo in my podcast room as well. It'll be quite interesting.
Awesome.
Well, it's been quite a long time that you guys have been sitting here listening to us. Yeah, catch us on Spotify, YouTube. Check out ISO and Javier as well for the Australian listeners. And if you want to also listen to our personal podcast, we release an episode every Sunday on YouTube and Spotify. Maybe coming out to Apple Podcasts soon. But on that, were there any final words from you, Javier?
No. Just thank you guys so much for having me here. It was a pleasure to talk with you guys. I enjoyed it a lot, and looking forward to have another podcast in the future, maybe.
Let's do it.
Definitely.
Let's go.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Javier.
See you, bro.
Thank you,
Peace out,
guys.
guys.